Hello, welcome to another video. I am very excited about today's video for many reasons. I'm going to be showing you the books that I have acquired over the Christmas period. Some of these are gifts from friends and family, some of them are gifts from you lovely people, some of them are books that I have bought myself, some of them are books from the Christmas sales, and some of them are just books that I got carried away and bought whilst I was shopping in Bath recently. So I'm excited for many reasons. I'm excited to show you these books because I want to share them, but I'm mainly excited because all of these books have been stacked up on my desk for about 5 or 6 days now, and once I've shown you them, I can put them on my shelves. Also, if you watched Tuesday's video, you will know that my voice is in and out at the moment, so I've got my glass of water with me. I don't feel ill or anything, I just seem to have this weird croaky voice thing going on. It seems to be okay at the moment, but it's dipping in and out, so if I start to sound a bit croaky, it's not me getting emotional over these books, it's just whatever this is. So it's all good, it's all fine. As I said, I'm not ill, I don't feel ill or anything, I just seem to have a croaky throat. Thank you. I still am blaming New Year's because the pubs that we were in were so loud that you just pretty much had to shout to have a conversation with someone that was next to you, so I think that that has really done me over. So we're gonna muster on. I've not been talking too much this week unless I've been filming, so I don't know how this is gonna go for me, but we're gonna give it a go. I have over 30 books here, which seems excessive, I give you. I'm gonna try and split this into books I bought myself and books that are very kindly been gifted to me. But let's see how we do. I'm not going to go into massive detail about each individual book because we will be here for a very long time. I also probably can't remember every single book's whole blurb, but I'll kind of give you an indication as to why I bought it, what it is that appealed to me about that book, and what I do know about it. So let's jump in. Let's clear this pile of books on my desk. I love watching unhaul videos because I always add loads of books to my TBR after watching said video, especially if they're books that I might not have seen mentioned anywhere else, so hopefully you enjoy watching this. Of course, these are never meant as bragging videos, I just really enjoy watching them and I enjoy filming them, so I hope you enjoy watching. The first book is The Blinds by Adam Sternberg. This is one that I'm actually currently reading. This is one that my mum got me. Every year my mum gets me some books. Normally she goes into Mr. B's Emporium of Reading Delights in Bath, which is just such a fantastic indie bookshop, and she normally goes in there and picks out some books for me that I haven't got on my wish list that I might not have heard of before. She does such a good job of finding books that I have never seen online, I've never heard of, I've never seen in bookshops before. So this year she got me 4 and I have read 2, and this is the 3rd one that I'm currently reading, and she has just been spot on with her picks once again. I just love that it pushes me out of my reading comfort zone, which is really something I want to do a lot more of this year. So this is the first one that I'm going to show you, and this is one of the ones my mum got me. So The Blinds follows a community of people all living very isolated from the world. They're very cut off. If they leave this community, they cannot come back, and they are all criminals who have had their bad memories erased. And then within this community, there are 2 deaths that are linked together that indicate there may be a murderer within their midst. It's a very interesting concept of removing your negative memories and seeing what that leaves you like as a person and how much these people have changed. But we as the reader also don't know what it is that has been erased from their memories, so we're very much in the same boat that they are. So this is definitely interesting, not something I would have normally picked up, which is why my mum picked it up for me, and I'm really liking it. It's got a thriller element to it and a kind of crime mystery element at the same time as being a very interesting social experiment. I'm not trying to give you reviews on all of these, but The Blinds, that is the first book in this haul. Next up is one that I really didn't expect to be this teeny weeny. This is Sour Candy by Keelan Patrick Burke. Look how small it is! It's so teeny! So this one is a horror that I'm hoping will give me the heebie-jeebie creepy vibes. This follows a man and his son who are no different from any other. They take walks in the park, they visit the countryside fairs, and the twist of this, that the blurb states already, so it's not a spoiler or anything, is that the dad is a prisoner and that up until a few weeks ago he hadn't actually met the child that was being referred to now as his son. So I'm immediately gripped by the concept of this. I think it sounds quite interesting, quite different, and I'm really hoping that this is one that will offer me some good creepy vibes. We got a Grady Hendrix to add to my collection. I adore Grady Hendrix's writing style. This is my best friend's Exorcism. This is, I think, the only one of his I don't own now, maybe? There's a new one coming out very soon that I'm very excited to get. But I am very buzzed to read this. Grady Hendrix does a fantastic job of paranormal, creepy fantasy elements in his writing, and just everything's a little bit strange, a little bit weird, and I just love the way that he integrates that into his plots. Obviously the cover for this one is giving off a real 80s vibe. I'm so buzzed to read this one. Then we've got Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I love Taylor Jenkins Reid writing. I think she is a fantastic, fantastic author. This is one of the kind of plots and tropes I really enjoy in books. We have two different versions of a life unfolding before our main character, and she gets to see how both versions of that life would have played out, which is something I find so fascinating, because if you could actually see that, I mean, it'd probably be a very dangerous thing to be able to see for your mental health, because what if the path you picked wasn't the better path? I mean, arguably they're all just going to be different types of paths and one might not be better than the other, but like, it's just such an interesting concept to me. So I think this is going to be romancy, knowing what Taylor Jenkins Reid writes about. The bottom part of the blurb says, "Is anything simply destined to be? Do soulmates truly exist? Hannah believes so, and in both worlds she's found him." I love the concept of this, it just sounds so good, so I'm excited to get to another Taylor Jenkins Reid book. Okay, I asked for recommendations a while ago about books that people thought actually scared them, and this is one of the ones I added to my wish list. So this is a compilation of two books. It's Daisy Miller and The Turn of the Screw by Henry James. The Turn of the Screw is the one that people said did scare them. Now I'm pretty sure that The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware is a retelling of The Turn of the Screw. Judging from the plot, it would be. So it follows a governess who is caring for two young children, and they are very remote and isolated where they're set, and she begins to see some sinister figures around the home. Now, stuff with children definitely creeps me out, not just because children are terrifying, but because of the weird, creepy horror things you can have happening around children, so I really hope that this is one that does scare me. Next up, we've got Snap by Belinda Bauer. This is one that I saw talked about recently on Between the Covers, which is BBC Two's... is it BBC Two? I think it's BBC Two. It's Sarah Cox's book club show, and I absolutely love it. And this is one of the books they talked about as a previous Man Booker Prize winner, it won in 2018. It is a thriller. I love me a good thriller. This one immediately pulled me in from what they were talking about when they were discussing it on the show, so I added it to my wish list. I love a blurb that keeps you hanging, because it just gives you an indication that each chapter in the book is probably going to do the same. This follows somebody who has been left in a car on the side of a motorway. Their mum has left them there to walk to find an emergency phone after their car breaks down, with the last lines, "Stay in the car, I won't be long." I'm assuming she is a while. So I'm very excited to get to this one. I've heard great things. Obviously seeing them talk about it in Between the Covers has made me even more excited. Next up is Breathless by Amy McCulloch, another thriller. The tagline on the back of this one says, "6 strangers, 1 killer. There's a murderer on the mountain." I'm here! Ever since I read One by One by Ruth Ware, which was a very isolated murder mystery thriller, I have wanted something that gave me the suspense that one gave me. I know it's not one that everyone loved, but I did enjoy the tension side of it. And I'm hoping that this is one to do it. I've seen a lot of people pick this one up, I've seen good things about it, so I'm hoping that I enjoy this one. I'm on a constant search for the fear at the moment, as we know, and this is another one that was suggested to me in recommendations. This is Things We Lost in the Fire, and this is by Mariana Enriquez. I honestly don't know anything about this one now. I remember enough people had recommended it to me as a scary book to put it on my wish list, and I'm kind of okay not knowing things. The reviews say it's mercilessly incisive and deeply creepy, stylish and compelling, powerful and humane vision. I mean, it sounds interesting. Dark, poetic turns. I'm going to go into this one fairly blind, which means I'm not going to really tell you too much about it. It's another short one, actually. So, I mean, this could open up a new author for me, because I have definitely seen other books by this author in the bookshop, but this is one that came most recommended, so hopefully it gives me the fear. Next up is The Birdcage by Eve Chase. This one's tagline on the front had me hooked already. It says, "Some secrets need to be set free," and I also adore the fact that we've got this little house on the cover in the little cage. So this is set in Cornwall, following two sisters who have a 20-year-old secret, and they have been summoned back to Cornwall where they spent a lot of their summers. And there is somebody watching them who knows that they have this secret, so obviously it's got quite a sinister vibe to it, thrillery elements, hopefully. I'm excited to see what the secret is. This one sounds really good as well. Obviously these all sound really good, obviously, otherwise I wouldn't put them on my wish list. It wouldn't be a book haul if I didn't add to my Tolkien collection. So we have got this beautiful paperback edition. It's a bind up of The Lord of the Rings. I love the fact that this is somehow floppy. Like, it's friggin' huge, but it's a bit floppy. I don't know how well that's coming across on camera. Anyway, very satisfying. I'm excited to finally be able to put this one on my Tolkien shelf, because I cleared a little space for it. I have a full shelf, but I got rid of a couple of, I reassigned a couple of the books that were on that shelf that weren't necessarily Lord of the Rings books, but just Tolkien world-esque books. So there's room for this one, and I'm very excited to add it to my shelves. You may have seen me talking about Edward Carey's Little at the start of 2022, or at the end of 2022 as well, because it was one of my favourite books of the year. That was absolutely brilliant, and my mum bought me this one, which is Heap House. She didn't realise that it was the same author as Little, which she also bought me the previous Christmas, so I actually ended the year reading this book when I started the year reading Little, which I feel like is a nice poetic reading wrap up for the year. So I have finished this one. It is a middle grade / YA. I'm not really sure what age group this is aimed at, to be honest. But this is following a community of people that live on the outskirts of London. I think it's around the Victorian London era. And we follow two different people within this household. One of them lives below the house and is working for the people that live in the top of the house. And they all have these things called birth objects, which are objects that they cannot be without, and one of the characters hears the birth objects saying their names out loud, which isn't something that anyone else can do. So there's this kind of fantasy intrigue element there. And the other character we're meeting is new to the household, and since she's arrived, these objects have started to go missing. It's a really brilliant, unique story, and I'm glad that I have been able to read a bit more of Edward Carey's writing, because he just writes gothic, gritty stuff really, really well. Again, another one that I have already read, one that my mum bought me, is The Word is Murder by Anthony Horowitz. If you've watched my wrap-up, you'll have seen me talk about this and Heap House already, so I won't go into too much with this one. But this is a thriller murder mystery following a woman who plans her own funeral and then that same day is found dead. This is interesting because Anthony Horowitz is a character in this book. He writes himself in as a lead character. Very unique concept. Threw me a little bit, but not in a bad way. It was very interesting to read something like that. I don't think I've ever read anything like that before. So this one's really interesting. And this, oh no, it's not the last one my mum got me, hang on. One more from my mum. She also got me Ghost Story by Peter Straub. She knows that I am trying to scare myself, and this is actually a pen name for Stephen King. So I have high hopes for this. I don't really know too much about it other than the fact that the reviews say this is the scariest book they've ever read. The terror just mounts and mounts. Superb horror. So again, I'm going to go into this knowing very little and assuming it is kind of haunted house-esque, judging from the house on the cover, so hopefully this one's good too. I'm going to haul these next two within the same breath. These are both Dolly Alderton books. If you've seen my recent videos, you will know that I read Ghost by Dolly Alderton recently and I loved it. It was so good. It's a new favourite book for me. I just thought it was fantastic. So these are Dolly Alderton's non-fictions. We have Everything I Know About Love and we have Dear Dolly. These are both ones that I was recommended as soon as I said that I enjoyed ghosts. So I think that these are both following Dolly Alderton's experience being a woman dating, being in a society that constantly questions what it is you're experiencing, what it is you're going through, and constantly puts judgment on you for that. I think it's about friendship, love as well, and I'm really excited to read more from Dolly Alderton. This one is so stunning. I'm going to show you the spine properly in a minute, but this is You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Akwaeke Emezi. Oh my gosh, look at the spine for this one. That is going to look so pretty on my shelves. I can't wait to shelf all of these. This one I think is a summer, I'm not going to say romance, I don't really know if it pans out like that, but we are following a character who is falling for the man that she absolutely cannot have and is set on a dream island holiday. So you can bet I'm saving this one to read in the summer. I have no idea what genre this one even takes on. I don't know if there's a more sinister twist to it. I don't know if it's rom-commy. I have no idea because that blurb kind of gives me an indication that there could be something more at play. I really don't know. I'm excited to read this one though and I've heard really good things about it. The last book that I received as a gift is We Had to Remove This Post by Hannah Bavowitz. This is translated by Emily Rout. This sounded very interesting when I heard about it. Also, another teeny weeny one. I didn't deliberately do this, but I thought this concept sounded very interesting. I work in social media and I always find anything that talks about that in a fictional sense quite fascinating. So this follows a main character who is a content moderator for a social media platform, so she has to review quite offensive and horrible content, which obviously is quite grueling work, but she thinks she's quite good at her job. I think this is kind of a moral conversation type of book because the second line of the blurb says that soon the job seems to change them all, shifting their worlds in alarming ways. How long before the moderator's own morals bend and flex under the weight of what they see? I think this sounds very fascinating. I'm really looking forward to reading this one as well. I don't know why I keep saying that. Obviously I'm looking forward to reading all of them, otherwise I wouldn't have put them on my wish list. Okay, I'm going to rejig my piles because that is all of the ones that I got gifted. So now on to the excessive amount of books that I purchased in Bath. Okay, so 2 of these I bought in the sales online. No, 3? I bought 3 online, but one of them hasn't arrived yet. The one that hasn't arrived yet is Maggie O'Farrell's The Marriage... I've completely forgotten the name of it. The Marriage Complex? What's it called? The Marriage Portrait. Okay, I did know that. I've ordered the really beautiful hardback edition of that. I'm trying to push my reading taste a lot this year, and I'm trying to pick up books that I think sound interesting but would maybe make me feel daunted in the past, or maybe would have been books that I thought sound interesting but it's not really for me. I'm really trying to push my reading taste and discover new books and new genres and new types of plots that I enjoy, and that is definitely one of them. So that one hasn't arrived yet, but it's very pretty and it was half price, so I thought I would seize the opportunity. I picked up a copy of The Trees by Percival Everett. This is a great example of how much my reading tastes are changing, because I went book shopping with my friend at the end of the summer, I think. They were picking up a copy of this book. I looked at this book and thought, nah, not for me. Now I look at this book and think, why did I not pick that up sooner? So I really hope I like this one. It says it's a page turner in the first line of the blurb, so that's always a good thing. So I believe this book is going to be part murder, mystery, thrillery element to it, and a big part social commentary as well. This is following two detectives who have come to a town to investigate a murder. The town itself is, there's quite a lot of resistance from that town. The local sheriff, his deputy, the coroner, and a string of racist white townsfolk. There are multiple murders, and each murder has a second dead body at the crime scene, which is creating a puzzle for these detectives. The second dead body always resembles a young black boy who was lynched in the same town 65 years before. These detectives suspect that these killings might be being done in retribution until they discover that there are similar murders taking place all over the country. I honestly don't know why I didn't pick this one up at the time. This is the Booker Prize winner for 2022, and I really would like to read more prize winners as well and see what my thoughts are on those. So I'm really intrigued by this one. This next one, The Sentence by Louise Erdrich, I think is going to be our next Patreon book club pick. We've got a poll going at the moment, so I'm excited to see if this one wins. This sounds quite unique. It says it's a funny ghost story, a wickedly funny ghost story, a tale of passion, of a complex marriage, and of a woman's relentless errors. This is set in a small independent bookshop, which I love, and it follows our main character who has to deal with the fact that the store's most annoying customer has died and has come back as a ghost, refusing to leave these bookshelves. So our main character has to solve the mystery of this haunting whilst also trying to understand all that occurs in this town during a year of grief, astonishment, isolation, and furious reckoning. It sounds like one that's going to have humour to it, but also undertones definitely of grief there, and probably some heavier topics weaved in. So I'm really intrigued to see how this one's going to come out. This is the Women's Prize for Fiction 2022 shortlistee. This one came as a bookseller recommendation, which I am very intrigued to see how I find this one. This is called Flamed by Robbie Arnott. I hadn't heard of this one at all. The bookseller was describing it to me, and I feel like the bookseller did a better job describing it to me than the blurb did, because she kind of went into more of the fact that it's got a mystery element to it, which the blurb didn't cover as much. So this is set in Tasmania, where there is a bit of a weird occurrence happening in which the women in this certain family come back to life after they've died. One of these women runs away because she doesn't want this to happen to her, and this is about her brother trying to track her down. From what the bookseller was telling me, this is really exploring nature and the natural world as well. We have the mystery element, we have the folklore element there too. I'm really intrigued by this one, and the bookseller was singing its praises, so I thought I would check it out. Another one I found in Mr. B's is The Anomaly by Hervey Lee Tellier. This one, if you have been watching Manifest, which I have been watching for a few years now, the final season is split into 2 parts and just came out on Netflix. It's so good. This gave me Manifest vibes. During a terrifying storm, a plane inexplicably duplicates. For every passenger, there are now 2, a double with the same mind, bodies, and memory. Except one thing sets them all apart. While one plane lands in March, the other doesn't arrive until June. If there are 2 of you in just one life, who gets to live it? There was a Paul Rudd TV show, and I can't remember what that was called, but that had a kind of concept of if there's 2 people with the same memories and stuff, who should get to live that life. So that was interesting. This is definitely giving me Manifest vibes. It sounds really interesting. It sounds a very unique concept. So I'm gonna read this to give me my Manifest fix whilst I'm waiting for the second part of that season to come out. This book is so pretty. This is I, Mona Lisa by Natasha Solomons. I managed to bag a signed copy, although it bugs me that there's now a sticker saying that. Is it gonna come off easily? That's the thing about getting all these books half price. They've all got half price stickers on them, which I don't need the sticker. Are you ready? Oh, wait. It wasn't as clean peel as I thought. Come on. Ah, we got that tiny little bit. I didn't mean to swear at you. Sorry. Ta-da! Anyway, this is I, Mona Lisa. I think this looks absolutely stunning. Like, visually beautiful. The colour on the inside, just everything about the colour palette. Yes, but the plot as well sounds really interesting. Now, I'm really struggling to summarise this for you. I feel like the longer into this video I get, the less concise my descriptions of these books are getting, and I'm just reading you the blurbs. But I don't know how to summarise this. in a more effective way, so I'm just going to read you the blurb. In Leonardo da Vinci's studio, bursting with towering commissions and needling patrons, as well as discontented muses, friends and rivals, sits the painting of the Mona Lisa. For 500 tumultuous years, amid a whirlwind of power, money and intrigue, the portrait of Lisa del Giocondo is sought after, fought over and stolen. Over the centuries, few could hear her voice, but now she is ready to tell her own story in her own words, a tale of rivalry, murder and heartbreak. Weaving through the years, she takes us from the dazzling world of Florentine studios to the French courts at Fontainebleau and Versailles, and into the 20th century. I, Mona Lisa is a deliciously vivid, compulsive and illuminating story about the lost and forgotten women throughout history. It sounds feminist, it sounds brilliant, it's got art history in it as well. I'm excited. I was very excited when Mr. Beast had this one in stock, so not all of these were in the half price hardbacks, but I'm weak, okay? This is Orpheus Builds a Girl by Heather Parry. I saw this one recently on a publisher's website and I thought it sounded really interesting, and also, once again, absolutely stunning. This is actually based on a true story, and once again, I don't really know how to properly summarise the blurb. I'm gonna give it my best shot. So our main character is dying, and he is looking back and reflecting on his life, on his upbringing, on his beloved grandma, his medical career during the Second World War, but above all, he is remembering his darling Lucy, the great love of his life, the dark-haired beauty who appeared to him in a dream years before they met. Though only together for a few months in her first life, Wilhelm knows their love is written in the stars. Using scientific research compiled over decades, he ensures that for him and his beloved, death is only the beginning. But through the cracks in Wilhelm's story, there comes another voice, that of Gabriella, and she will not let this version of events go unchallenged. She tells the story of her sister, Luciana, fearless and full of life, and the madman who robbed her from her grave. It sounds intriguing. It sounds very intriguing. It's beautiful. I'm excited. I bought another CJ cookbook. I didn't even realise that CJ Cook had another book out. This is The Ghost Woods. I am so excited to read this one. I really enjoyed The Nesting by CJ Cook, which I read in October of last year. I do have The Lighthouse Witches to read as well, and I will be getting to that very, very soon. In fact, I think that might be my next audiobook, because I just finished my audiobook. But this is The Ghost Woods, which I'm very excited about getting to because, of course, it sounds creepy, it sounds gothic. The Nesting had all of the brilliant gothic, creepy moments. It didn't fully scare me, but it got kind of close. Of course, we've got the elements of folklore to this story, which is a child who is not quite a child, woods that are creeping closer, and something that has been unleashed. Pearl Gorham arrives in 1965, one of a string of young women sent to Lichen Hall to give birth, and she soon suspects the proprietors are hiding something. Then she meets the mysterious mother and young boy who live in the grounds, and together they begin to unpick the secrets of this place. I think it sounds interesting, and also another really pretty cover. Basically, they're all just stunning. All of these books, all books are just beautiful. Another absolutely stunning book, like, honestly, seriously, this is absolutely beautiful. This is The Seven Moons of Marley Almeida, and this is by Shihan Karuna Tiliaka. This looks absolutely stunning as an edition, but the story itself sounds beautiful. The top tagline for this blurb says this is a searing satire set amid the murderous mayhem of Sri Lanka beset by civil war. I had seen this book all over the place in Waterstones, and I don't know why I hadn't picked it up sooner, but this sounds really interesting and very unique. So we're following our main character in 1990 in Colombo. He is a photographer, a gambler and closet gay, and has woken up dead in what seems like a celestial visa office. His dismembered body is sinking into a lake, and he has no idea who killed him. And at a time when scores are settled by death squads, suicide bombers and hired goons, the list of suspects is depressingly long, as the ghouls and ghosts who cluster around him can attest. In the afterlife, our main character has 7 moons to try and contact the man and woman he loves the most and lead them to hidden photos that will rock Sri Lanka. This sounds really interesting. I love the fact that the main character is a ghost. I mean, I don't love the fact that they're a ghost because obviously that means they're dead, but it sounds like it's going to be a really interesting narrator. I got another horror book because of course I did. This is The House at Phantom Park by Graham Masterson. This is another Mr. B's purchase. This one looked like it was gonna creep me out. I don't know if it will, but it looked like it had the potential to. Our main character is developing an old abandoned house to make it into a luxury housing complex. Of course there's going to be some weird creepy things happening. It's original and frightening, says Peter James. A true master of horror, one of Britain's finest horror writers. Is it going to scare me? I don't know, but I'm going to give it a go. Okay, back to the Waterstones half price sale now. We have got Cat Lady by Dawn O'Porter. I've seen this one about the place a lot. I don't know how I feel about this cover. It's definitely striking. There's a lot of things happening. Like, there's a woman in a tin can, except I think the woman's a doll. And there's some whiskers on the can. There's a lot of stuff going on here. But I really like the concept of this one. Also, ooh, the end pages are cool. I really like the fact that, hang on, at the top here, we have a little bio for our main character, which I think is really good fun. What I love about this is that we're following a main character who just kind of cracks on. She lives her life, but beneath the surface, there's somebody clawing to get out, and then something shatters the conventional life that she's been living, and she has to decide whether she lives for herself or for a society that judges everything she does. And I love that because society is so judgy, and I really enjoy that in Dolly Alderton's writing that's discussed, so I'm really hoping that I enjoy this one as well. We have got 4 books left. I could do it. This is Natalie Haynes' Stone Blind. This is Medusa Retelling. I love reading Medusa stories because I feel like Medusa is really done dirty in fiction, and really Medusa's story is one of the OG feminist stories, and I think that Natalie Haynes hopefully is going to be able to portray that really well. One of the reviews on the back says that it is a gripping feminist masterpiece. Madeline Miller has written a glowing review. I know that Natalie Haynes is meant to be a really beautiful reteller of mythology stories, so I think this one's going to be brilliant, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how she portrays Medusa's story. I have seen this one about the place, and honestly the cover has put me off for so long. This is Bob Mortimer's The Satsuma Complex. I did have this one on my wish list for Christmas, and then I saw it for half price and thought, yes, I will get that. This one I think is just going to be funny. I think Bob Mortimer is usually a non-fiction writer. I honestly don't really know much about this other than the fact that I'm expecting it to be funny. The tagline is an introduction from the main character saying, "My name is Gary, I'm a 33-year-old legal assistant with a firm of solicitors in London. To describe me as anonymous would be unfair, but to notice me other than in passing would be a rarity. I did make a good connection with a girl, but earlier today that blew up in my face and smacked my ass with a fish slice." So I'll give this a go. I don't really have a great deal of books that are overly funny on my shelves, so hopefully this one offers some light relief. 2 left to go, nearly there. This is The Enigma of Room 622 by Joel Dicker. I have heard interesting things about Joel Dicker's other writing, and I do have another of his books on my shelf. This one, the cover very much intrigued me. I really like that open house element to it, but also it's a book about books, and we know I love those. This is described as a Russian doll of a mystery, which sounds quite interesting. It follows Switzerland's most famous literary star who has fled to a hotel to have a little bit of a break, mourn the death of his publisher and begin his next novel. But before he knows it, he's coaxed out of his slump by a fellow guest who quickly uncovers the reason behind room 622's erasure, an unsolved murder. So I think that this is going to be a murder mystery that the author is going to get involved in helping to solve. It's set in the Swiss Alps. I feel like it's going to have that isolated mystery element to it. It's a chunky one. Cannot wait to sink my teeth into it. Okay, so that was all the books that I got for Christmas, but I did also pinch a book off of my mum's bookshelves, so I'm just going to include that one in the haul as well. This is the final book in this haul, and this is All Our Wrong Todays by Ilan Mastai. This is one that my mum said was absolutely fantastic, and I had to read it, and she was reorganising her shelves when I was there, and I pinched it. This is set in a world where technology has solved all of humanity's problems, except our main character isn't happy. They lost the girl of their dreams, and what do you do when your heart is broken and have access to a time machine? Something very stupid indeed. So our main character stumbles across a life that he actually quite likes when he goes back in time, and is then faced with the impossible choice, I think, of whether to stay or whether to go back to his timeline. I like the fact this has a time travel element. It says it's witty, original, funny and charming on the front, so again, hopefully one that will offer me some humour. But this is the last book in this book haul. Oh my gosh, that took me a while. I have to film another video after this, and I don't know how well I'm going to be able to talk, so we'll see how this goes. I feel like I sound fine, but it's not the easiest. Okay, that was my over 30 book haul. I can put these books away. Happy days. I hope you enjoyed watching this. I now have to film another video, and I don't know if my voice is actually going to be with me by the end of the day, but we will see. But thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much to anybody who sent me through a book. I've obviously sent out messages thanking people separately, but it's always so appreciated. I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up. Let me know if you've got any books for Christmas or any books that you've hauled recently. I'm going to try and get on it with the book hauls in 2023 because I always get to a point where I can't remember where I left off the last book haul. I know I can watch the video back, but like I can't remember what books I've got that are new within that time, so I need to get better at that. Maybe I'll start making a list or something. I don't know. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, no, I've already said that. Where am I at with my outro? Comment things down below. Subscribe to see more of my face on your feed. You can also find a link down below to my Patreon where I do lots of extra content. And you can also find a link down below to my online shop. Thank you so much for watching. Keep smiling and stay positive.